So Right Time Financial. So everybody knows me as the real estate guy, the multifamily guy, and investing guy, and everything that we've been doing with coaching and helping clients build wealth through real estate. And it's been a phenomenal journey. It was funny on my out processing today over at bowling. I bumped into one of my clients, Kevin Pugh, standing outside when I was leaving the Wing building. And he was updating me on the renovation they're doing to his wife's home that she inherited from her grandmother, doing about $100,000 worth of renovation. And it really hit home to me. I was a little down coming out of the finance office, like, hey, this is it. And, driving off, I see him standing out there. I know the Lord put him there for a reason. And just having that conversation with him and just him sharing and pouring into me the impact. Kevin's actually on the call tonight, just the impact that I've had with them over the years and helping them build wealth, that it just let me know that, it's go time, that I'm making the right decision, leaving after 20 years and putting myself in a position to help others and serve others in a completely different capacity. And that's what this is all about tonight. That is not a sunset of what we've been building on the real estate side and helping clients build wealth through real estate, but it's a continuation. And I would say an amplification of the products and services that I have in my disposal to help clients diversify their portfolios and build wealth at an increased pace. And that's what it is with Right Time Financial. So with that, let's get going. So today's financial reality is really daunting. And when you really look at, how wealth is built in the United States and just in general, that, unfortunately, a lot of us didn't get the memo. For those that are familiar with my book, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategist, the subtitle is What They Forgot to Teach You in School, because this information, for whatever reason, isn't readily available in the classroom as it should be. Right now, looking across the landscape in America, 63% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 54% of households in America are in credit card debt, with over $1.13 trillion as of fourth quarter 2023. 44% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. The savings rate in February 24 was a dismal 3.6%. Right now, when you look across the board, 51% of American adults say that they have little to nothing saved for retirement. And when we talk about insurance, and, one of the things that, especially if you have kids, you have family, one of the things that you have to have in place is insurance. If something happens to you, if you walk outside and get hit by a bus, who's going to provide for your kids? If you have young kids, if you want those kids to go to college, if you have a spouse that's left behind, what type of insurance income replacement do you have right now to step in and fill that void for them? And so right now, 4 out of 10 households are underinsured across the board. And then lastly, when we talk about financial literacy and what they don't teach us in school, only 26 of the 50 states actually require a standalone course on personal finance to graduate from high school. The thing is, if you don't get the information from school, where are you going to get it? And that's one of the things that unfortunately has been left up for a lot of people. It's been left up to luck. Thank God that I was able to seek out wisdom from other individuals, to seek out information from books, from podcasts, and learning along the way. And now my mission has become to pour that same information, that journey, into helping other people become the best CEO of their last name. So for those who don't know me, I'm Johnny Lynum. First off, I would tell you, looking back over the 20 years of my career and just in general, everything that I've been able to achieve, that it wasn't me. You have to look past me. And I'm a true believer in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and his favor and mercy has brought me this far. And I'm a true believer as I go into this next chapter, as we talk about Right Time Financial and everything that we're bringing in the partnership and how it came together, that I know I'm in the right place at the right time to help serve in another capacity. Retired today as a lieutenant colonel, investor, that in becoming that investor, making that mindset change. And I'm going to give you my framework. I look back over my 20 years and looked at the intangibles as well as the tangible traits that I had and picked up, whether it came from the military, it came from my humble beginnings, but give you the framework that I have found for success on so many levels. When you talk about wealth building, but also mentally, relationships, as well as looking at the spiritual side of things, that it allows you to go to the next level in everything that you do and everything that you touch. Mentoring, wrote my book in 2021. And since then, I started REI Genius, our financial freedom network, that where our mandate and mission is to help change the lives of others through real estate and empowering them to become the best CEO of their last name. We're talking a little about tonight about the wealth advisor side and my focus area of Right Time Financial as we kind of step into this next chapter. I've been blessed. I've been blessed over the years, and the framework that I'm bringing to you guys and the 20 years of experience serving in the military, from buying my first property in 2006, that it all rolled up into, at this point, building an 8-figure real estate portfolio, buying multiple apartment complexes across the United States and helping clients do the same thing with adding cash flow and real estate to their portfolio. And that journey just continues. We talked a little about the book and writing that a few years ago, as well as the Financial Freedom Network, which is dear to my heart, with everything that we're doing with helping people become the best CEO of their last name and build generational wealth. When I was looking back and thinking about, these 20 years in the military, this picture stood out, kind of the pinnacle of my career, but also as a pivotal cross point in my journey. Whereas, coming in humble beginnings, Grove Hill, Alabama, where I'm originally from, all the 3 traffic lights still remain there to this day. We didn't get McDonald's till 2 years after, in 2002, after I went off to college. But it made me into the man that I am today, with limited opportunities, but always have big dreams that were instilled in me from my parents, and just them being able to see the future for my life that I didn't necessarily could see from the environment that I grew up in. The military gave me structure and purpose, but it also raised a big question for me as a husband and a father. Would I be able to create that financial security for my family after the uniform came off? That was my giant that I had to conquer. And this was me kind of, mid-career captain 2011 in Afghanistan, leading a team of operators that we did. We provided oversight for ISR operations, our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations, with supporting the guys kicking in the doors each and every night for 6 months straight. And we split up and we were running 12-hour shifts around the clock for 6 months during that time. Heck of a time. And it always leaves you kind of chasing that ghost on being able to impact the mission. And so, but coming off that deployment, it gave me the fervor and the drive to know that I could do a heck of a lot. Just to be that little country boy running around barefoot in Grove Hill, to be leading troops in combat, leading operations, walking out of this job and executing over $120 million every year for the next 3 years, running $1 billion contract, developing software for satellites. And so one of the things that it gave me was the strength and the faith, along with the faith that I had already, but just giving the confidence in my experience to that point that I could step out and build more than just what I could build with my hands in the military. And that birthed our first Lynum Enterprises, our business that we started 2015, where we did our first fix and flip in Alexandria, Virginia, and the rest is history. And so that was, for me, was the pinnacle time looking back in my career, but I also knew that this too would end, and that I couldn't hang up my uniform and pass it down to my kids to build wealth. And so for me, seeing the example, the experience of others, reading the books, the podcasts, going to the conferences, that it led me to take that step and start my own personal journey and go through and build out what I have today and been blessed to build together. And so with that, I kind of thought back about it and put together this financial security framework that focuses on the mindset, the financial side, and then as well as the legacy, and bringing those together in a harmony, the 3, which is kind of annotated there in the white, and how you bring those 3 together. Because for me, the battlefield was my first VA loan property. I didn't know everything, but I knew enough that I had to take action. And I look back on that whole conversation. I know a couple of my guys in here from Warner Robins, their first duty station, and my brother Nick Battle came to me. We were lieutenants. He was like, "Hey, J2," he's like, "I found this duplex. I'm gonna buy a side, you buy a side, and we're gonna rent it out when we leave." Now this coming from a guy, when I came in about 10 months earlier, I had to get a family member to sign on my lease for my first apartment because my credit was screwed up. Because I told you, they didn't teach it in school. And so coming out of college, I had the credit card they gave me, but I didn't know I was supposed to be paying the thing on time. And so that was the thing, that I got my credit together. And then when this opportunity came, I went from fear to action because it was scary. I never bought a house before. My parents told me, "Hey, it sounds like a good idea. We own our home. You should do it." And all I knew was I was going to be paying about $300 less than what I was paying for my apartment, and I was going to own it, and I was going to be able to rent it. And it changed my life. And it started that journey with going from broke Johnny woke Johnny and understanding, even though I had a paper, a degree, I didn't have everything that I needed when it came to building wealth and building legacy and building cash flowing assets. And so for me, that first mindset shift took me from fear to taking action. The second one, because that was just the first part of it. It was the financial shift, going from one to multiple streams of income. And the thing that you have to learn is that one income stream isn't enough, not enough at all. We're seeing this right now today across the government as we're going into a potential shutdown tonight, that there's going to be a lot of government workers, the top tens of thousands that are going to wake up with no job, that they're not going to get furloughed, that they're going to be completely let go. And so the thing is, relying on any one thing is dangerous, extremely dangerous, especially when you don't control that one thing. And so that was one of the things that I really harped on, because I learned that having that one income stream is dangerous. While serving, I was often away from the house. I was deployed. But guess what? My properties kept paying me whether I was on duty or not. I made mistakes, tenants, repairs, deals that didn't go as planned, but every test taught me to multiply what I had instead of burying it in fear. And I think about the tale of the master that went off and left his servants with the talents. And you had that one talent that took his one talent that he left and he buried it. And he came back and the master took it from him and gave it to one of the others that went and actually multiplied it. And so it's the same thing with this situation. We're going from one source of income to multiple streams of income. Because one of the things that I found, 65% of millionaires had at least 3 streams of income, and nearly 30% of them had 5 streams. So the thing is, drop in the chat right now, how many streams of income do you want to have? And some of you may already be at that point where you achieve that number and may be looking to go to the next level. But I want you to kind of think about that and share in the chat. What's the number? How many streams of income do you want to add to what it is that God is giving you right now to show that you are a good steward of the resources that he has put in your hands already today? Because the thing is, we can't get caught in that W-2 trap because it's dangerous. And I think right now in society, it's even more dangerous than it's ever been. You know, just with the layoffs, we're not having that financial security for you and your family, because guess what? No one cares about your well-being more than you do. And so that's the thing that led me to that piece. And then I think after you're going into, looking at the financial security, that, at some point in your journey, it has to become bigger than you. And the Bible says you're blessed when you leave an inheritance for your kids' kids. And that's the thing with legacy and where the legacy goes. And for me, that turning point was realizing it wasn't about me buying more doors. It was about what I was leaving behind. I wanted my kids to start where I finished, not where I began. And that's when the wealth turned into legacy and made that pivot. And so when we start talking about wealth and looking at the numbers, look at this diagram here on the right, it shows where the top 1%, the top 20%, what they invest in. And at the end of the day, when you see the dark blue there, is real estate. Where you look at the top 20%, how heavily weighted real estate is, followed by stocks and mutual fund shares, then retirement accounts, then private businesses and other assets. And then on the left side there, you can see the liabilities, the home mortgages, not too much debt as well on that end. And as you go down, you start to see the assets dwindle and dwindle as you get lower down the line. And so one of the things that you have to realize in order to be successful in today's day and age, and we really go back to the biblical day, you have to be a producer. You can't be a consumer. And when you start looking at the habits of most Americans, the numbers align with the habits. When you look at 70% of Americans are consumers, and our economy, our gross domestic product, our country and everything we produce, 70% are consumers, that it's hard to build wealth when you're constantly consuming. And we see right here, the wealth numbers, they show the same picture. And so one of the things that we have to go through is go from survival to how do we achieve our own personal financial security. And that's what all this is about, from REI Genius and building wealth through real estate to everything now with the transition into Right Time Financial. It is all about the legacy, the services, and the products to help you level up and build that level of security for you and your family. And so with that shift, that the next big thing that, I really want to push to you guys is you got to make that bold commitment to yourself and understand how will you shift your mindset, your finances, and legacy to build generational wealth. And I think that's the mandate that we all have to take on. And I thank God that I was serious about it and I took the bull by the horns back in 2015 and made that leap of faith with starting my business. But one of the things that I learned along the way, there's so many different opportunities to build wealth. And guess what? You don't have to be the one out there buying and doing all the selling. You know, one of the things that I'm going to talk a little bit about is like with my focus on alternative investments and now working with institutional firms off Wall Street that are raising hundreds of millions of dollars, that are buying large commercial deals, institutional deals with professional management that buys down the risk. And now the things that were secrets 10, 20 years ago that you didn't have access to as an investor, today you have access to those same quality investments that help the top 1%, that help the top 20% achieve the same results that they have been able to make. And so with that, I want to hand off to one of our managing partners with Right Time that he's going to come and share. Jason, come to the stage and share just a little bit about the vision from the company Right Time Financial. Jonathan, the founder, wasn't able to be with us here tonight, but one of the things that was funny, so Jonathan and I met about back, it was March of this year. We were both at Howard University. We were there for a career fair day at the business school, and I had my REI Genius table there, you know, pouring into the next generation and letting them know about the services that we offer. And the same thing with Right Time, he was there. And we got to talking, and you know, we were sharing a little bit about, hey, our mission and vision. And then we started talking about software. We use the same financial planning software. And so it was like, yeah, we connected. And a couple of weeks later, the wives and we all went out to dinner. And he made the offer to come in and really help focus in on alternative investments, looking at the institutional real estate deals, as well as oil and gas and some of the private equity offerings that are coming into the firm. And so when I looked at the alignment and the mission, that it started making sense. And one of the things that I have learned over the years, to be able to know the Lord's voice and to listen to that call and to know when I'm stepping in the right direction. And so that's how we ended up here today. But I'm going to bring Jason on and let Jason kind of share with you just who the company is, the firm. And he brings over 20 years of experience, you know, as a financial expert in regards to working at Merrill Lynch, Transamerica as a financial advisor over the years. And just super glad to have him here today. Let's see, Jason, are you able to come off mute? And I'll let you.
I certainly am, Johnny. I certainly am. And, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited for your future here at Right Time. I know I got a chance to meet you recently. We were at the African American Financial Advisory Conference in D.C. So we were able to kind of bond a little bit and get to know each other. And, you know, to find out you're an author a few times as well. We got something in common, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a 3-time best-selling author. My first book that I wrote was Faith Plus Purpose Equal Legacy, encouraging our children to become entrepreneurs and showing the intersection between fatherhood and entrepreneurship. Then the second book I wrote, I was a co-author of that book with 12 other African-American doctors, lawyers, financial professionals, nonprofit organizational leaders. And my chapter was on success principles. And then my third book was the 7 strategies to successfully transition from employee to entrepreneur. So that's kind of like the story of my life. I spent a lot of time in corporate, where Johnny spent a lot of time in the military. I was a sales representative for many, many years. Then I got recruited to Merrill Lynch in 2006. Right? And we know what happened in 2008, the global financial crisis. So I was shifted from one area to another area, got my dream job, and then my dream was taken away from me suddenly. And I was just like, well, what am I going to do? So I pivoted it, and I was able to land on my feet. I had multiple licenses, so I started helping seniors in the Medicare space for about 2 years. And then I transitioned back into the financial service business with Transamerica Financial Advisors, spent about 13 years there. And then I was the first advisor to come on board with Jonathan here at Right Time Financial. So that's a little bit about myself. And the last thing I'll talk about myself before I talk about who we are, unlike what Johnny was saying, when a lot of people hadn't been taught about money management, I was born by, you know, a banker. My mom was a banker, single parent. My parents separated earlier, but she was a banker, worked for Citibank for 38 years. So I was indoctrinated in money management skills at a young and early age. And thus I passed that down to my children, who are now taking care of my grandchildren. So I understand what Johnny's talking about. You can have that information, and utilize it. But if you don't have the information, you're going to make bad decisions. So that leads us to who we are. We are a firm that's really focused on helping people make sound financial decisions. We want to be able to provide, financial advice. We want to be able to provide and utilize technology. And we know that technology is the way to go, right? But how we utilize technology and how we utilize alternative investments and how we utilize just the cutting edge information to make finance simplistic, all right? Because if we don't understand it, then we're not going to implement. So we're going to find ways for our clients to really understand and really understand that we want to empower people, all right? We want to empower individuals. Similar to me with my books, I want to empower the next generation of entrepreneurs. So the takeaway, though, is integrity, competence, and excellence. We have the integrity, we have the competence with many years of experience, and we have the level of excellence in terms of industry knowledge and the trends of what's going on in the economy. So, next slide, please. All right, so what's our vision? Johnny talked about what his vision was, and he made that transition and being a real estate investor and helping people build wealth through real estate, and he focuses on alternative investments. Our focus is really on, financial planning. How can we build roadmaps for individuals? How can we help individuals really actualize their real full potential and understanding the level of competence needed to make those sound financial decisions? And when we sit down with a client and we give them a financial plan, we want to make sure that they're educated so they can implement. Is one thing, that knowledge is power, but the implementation of knowledge is much more powerful. Wouldn't you agree? So we want to really become the preferred source of financial literacy. We want to be able to have our partners that we have and be able to utilize the variety of different solutions that they have available for us. Okay. So as we go around across the country, so for example, I'm in New Jersey, whereas Johnny's down in the Virginia area. We have advisors down in the Florida area. We have advisors out in Texas. So we have a good footprint across the United States and will continue to grow. So our vision is large. It is large and it's going to continue to grow. Next slide, please. All right. So as we are growing, we said that we needed a partner. All right. And so therefore we partnered with Innovation Partners out of Charlotte, North Carolina. All right. Charlotte, North Carolina, as you know, it's probably like one of the heavily states that is a banking state, right? So Innovation Partners out of Charlotte, North Carolina, they have a number of affiliated companies that they are partnered with. Thus, our partnership is vast. What do I mean by that? We have the access to the best in the business. We have access to the best in the business. And by doing so, we're able to utilize strength and selection. What do I mean by that? Johnny alluded to it earlier. We're not just focusing on the traditional investments. We do have the traditional investments, but that's not our main focus. Our main focus is on advisory accounts. Our main focus is on alternative investments, investment banking, private equity. And as we do that, we know that we're going to have accredited investors. Some of you on this call today may be accredited investors, right? And we're going to have the ability to focus on your traditional investments or your traditional plans, but through financial planning and discovery calls, there might be other opportunities that present themselves that you're going to have the appetite for. All right. So as Johnny had indicated, his spent a good portion of his life helping people build wealth through real estate. Now he's going to transition and continue being that real estate investor and continue building wealth for families. And now he's going to have another toolbox. Next slide. And then when we look at the other toolbox, again, the strategic partners that we have available, you can see a number of them. I'm sure you can recognize Allianz, Principal, Investco, Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Equitable, just to name a few. And when you look at strength and selection, we can focus on everything from retirement planning, life insurance, college plans, estate planning tools, business solutions. So any business owners out there needs those business solutions, we have them for you. We have them for you. And then the last thing I would say is that as we focus on alternative investments and we focus on lending, we can focus on private placement insurance, net lease deals, all right, investment advisory services. Our ability to sit down with a client and have you share the information that we need to help you make the sound financial decisions, you can see the suite of solutions that we have. It's incredible. And person like Johnny coming on board, we know that he's going to just be doing a fantastic job. So I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to just share a little bit about our firm. And we're certainly happy that you're here. I'm going to turn it back over to Johnny, and Johnny can finish sharing his vision with you.
Oh, I definitely appreciate that, Jason, and sharing where Right Time is now and where we're going and all the capabilities and resources that we have. And so I think Jason kind of talked and alluded to this already about how we impact. But one, from the educational resources, that all this starts with education, because a lot of it, you may not be familiar with when we start talking about private equity, private credit, when we start talking about direct participation programs and multifamily funds and commercial real estate funds. And so these are the tools that the wealthy use to build wealth that are alternatives when you start looking at traditional stocks and bonds and the primary Wall Street equities that you can purchase. And so when you start looking at the education is paramount, where you're an informed investor, and we know knowledge is power. We talked a little bit about the comprehensive financial planning with going through and understanding income, expenses, your IRA, your 401ks, your Social Security, your military pension, or your other government or employer qualified plans that you have out there, and just building a holistic plan on strategically how you can leverage those resources and how you can potentially look at diversifying your portfolio to, one, lower your overall risk profile, but then also to make sure and looking at the different analysis that we have with the technology and software to look and give you a probability of success. And so looking at the Monte Carlo analysis, that's going to tell you based off of your savings rate, your investing rate, and all the resources you have right now already saved and accumulated, what's the percentage that you're going to have $7,000 of monthly income when you turn 70 or when you turn 80. And it'll spit out the probability of success based off the data that we have today. And so that really goes far into the retirement planning. As he mentioned, also the investment management with being able to go in and actually and take on and invest those accounts for clients. And one of the big things that we really have is the fiduciary experience. We're going through and being a licensed investment advisor and having a bench of professionals that now the aperture is completely open, completely wide, with having a complete talented bench of support. To give a football analogy, it's like having Nick Saban and and a bench full of 5-star recruits right there ready to go that can come into the game at any minute. And so pretty much guaranteed success. And so that's one of the things that we really love. We're having the right people on the team to help build that plan out for you. And of course, we have the other plans and support, divorce recovery plan for those that may need that, educational planning, insurance and legacy planning, as well as the business owner protection and other wealth building strategies with that. So walking a little bit into the client process, it all starts with the meet and greet, discovery meeting, just really to understand your needs, learn a little bit more about our firm, the process, answer any questions that you have. But really, the thing is really to better understand your financial objectives, your goals, both short-term and long-term, and then kind of go into the next steps. And so what that next step looks like is data analysis, so collecting the financial information documents, all uploaded on our secure portal, but then also meeting with your advisor for routine reviews to go through and kind of go through that correction cycle to make sure everything is properly aligned, and then prioritizing your objectives and goals, because there may be multiple things that you need to take action on. But guess what? We got to start with the first alligator closest to the boat. And so start with that first action and then continue to build on top of that. And then from there, develop the plan, identify the gaps, because guess what? If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. And so one of the things that really became to me and that became apparent when we started talking about planning, because I would have clients that we're coming in focused on the real estate side. And when we really get in and start having more conversation, that there are some other areas that become highlighted that we need to focus in on and get rectified. And so really having that plan and building that plan together is going to be critical to long-term success. And then after that, just the routine maintenance with making sure that we're executing and holding you accountable and having those milestones along the way to measure progress and make changes where needed. And so we'll present that plan, review the actions with you, establish the necessary accounts, set up the online access and dashboard, and then schedule that annual review. But at the same time, going through that we're attainable and reachable along the way when you have those questions, when you see the stock market drop, or when you see or you have that milestone where a kid graduates from college, or you have that career change or a loss of job, that we're that confidential advisor that you can lean on to ask those questions to get that clarity to make those financial decisions. And then, of course, the ongoing evaluation with being a resource there and working with those other professionals, the CPAs and the estate planners to build that out. And then, of course, coming up here October 24th, we have our annual client appreciation golf tournament and all the other educational webinars and events that we have and workshops to help continue to build wealth and pour into you guys and get you to that next level. One of the great things that I really admire kind of going through and looking at the services early on was the estate planning services. Because all of us, if we own a home, if we have kids, that we need a trust. We need a trust to take title of that property to bypass probate. We need a will to make sure that it's not any craziness when we pass away, that, hey, that is our mechanism to be able to lay out our groundwork of what we want to happen that rolls into that trust, and to set up where we, as I like to say, we can make calls from the grave. That what we want to happen, we lay it out in that trust and document it. And it's our word, our written word that stays behind us. And we get to dictate what we want to happen with our estate, our resources, our assets, our retirement accounts, our 401ks, our brokerage accounts, and all how we wanted to lay out to the family. Because one of the things that is really critical with this and having that trust in place, it allows your family and your next of kin to have that clarity. Because I know I've seen it where you have loved ones that, they're butting heads. You only have one, trustee that's appointed, but now, there's not any clarity on what happens. And now people are fighting. They're trying to figure out what happens. It gets tied up in probate. Perfect example right now is the estate of Prince. He didn't have a will. He didn't have a trust. And everything that he built, his legacy, everything that he built up, his royalties, his real estate, his accounts are all tied up in probate. And right now, the only people that are benefit from it is the lawyers. And so don't let that be you. If you worked hard enough to build up these 401ks and these accounts and in your real estate portfolio, take the time to sit down, have that trust built out where you can focus in on that and making sure that you're guaranteed that it's going to flow properly to that next generation, and you're going to leave the majority, if not all, those resources to them. And so this lays out some of the plan. We partnered over to State Guru in regards to being able to provide these attorney services to have these things created for you. And so that's one of the options there to really take a look at. And I talked about that, the last will and testament, power of attorney, advanced directives. And so you get sick and you can't make decisions on your own health, having that living will, your beneficiary designations, your letter of intent, your HIPAA authorization, and your proof of identity documents. And so having all that together, and we would love to have that conversation on what that looks like for you. And then the customized services, whether it's an hourly rate with getting advice and getting information, our focus solutions with having an insurance audit. If you have insurance, if you have an annuity, if you haven't reviewed your annuity, I was just in Chicago last week, sitting down with one of our partners and going through and looking at some of the annuity products right now, and the increase in income where some of their accounts, they're over 100% increase in the income they're able to generate by rolling in some of these older annuities into new annuities that have some bonuses and different opportunities right now to increase your secured income. And so I encourage you, if you haven't done an insurance audit and look at your current life insurance policies, please reach out, because there's a lot of opportunity and ability to increase the income you're generating with some of these different products. And of course, the mutual funds, alternative investments. And then we come out, we get on the road, we do a lot of speaking. I know we had the annual financial literacy leadership conference coming up here in the DC area in a couple of weeks. And so we love to get out and we do workshops, whether it's with the church or any, fraternity, sororities, if any organizations out there, if you have a focus and you're looking on how you can level up and build wealth, we'd love to have a conversation and send out, if not myself, send out one of our advisors to come out and share with you guys and understand what you're trying to build and how we can build that and implement that custom solution for you guys. Kind of focusing in on the alternative investments, my bread and butter that I'm really focusing in on is the oil and gas funds. We're just helping clients that are looking to reduce their overall gross income reduction for the same tax year. Oil and gas, and with the indirect cost at IDCs that they have, is a great opportunity to invest in alternatives, diversify your portfolio, but at the same time, reduce your overall gross income that can be taxed. And then real estate funds, I really, the last few weeks getting real exposure with going in with some of the funds that we have access to with providing raw land to DR Horton, Lennar, multifamily funds that are looking to, one fund that we're working with right now, they're on their 15th fund with 7 exits, and they're raising $175 million right now to buy distressed Class A new construction multifamily across the Southeast. And so you as an accredited investor can partner right there with Wall Street firms that are invested in these companies and place your money right there in investment and diversify into these, as well as, opportunity zones. We're partnering with hotel chains like Marriott and Hilton to get in on some of those same exact deals. And then private equity and credit funds as well, too. We're looking to be a private investor in up-and-coming technology firms and other firms that are focused on different sectors, where you can kind of holistically look across your portfolio and truly diversify in uncorrelated investments with professional management. And so that's one of the big things when we start talking about alternative investments in this area is bread and butter companies been around for decades with a ironclad track record, as well as professional management that's leading the charge on these, where you don't have to worry about the toilets, the tenants, and the late night phone calls with any of these investments. And so it's always the thing is really looking at your risk profile and your portfolio and making the right decision and making sure it fits your investment thesis on what the next step is for you. And so with that, I'll leave you tonight. Are you asking yourself the right questions? What financial concepts do you need to get smart on? If you have a financial strategy, starting from when you began earning an income, do you believe there would be a difference in your financial picture today if you had that plan 10 years, 20 years ago? I know for me, if I knew what I knew right now, 20 years ago, Lord have mercy. There would be a lot of people that would be in a better position, and we would be at a rapid pace of building wealth. But that's okay, because guess what? No, there's no better time than right now. And so that's why we're here tonight. Does my current career have the right financial horsepower to help me achieve my goals? Some people, right now I'm making a shift, a pivot, but you may be making a shift and pivot. You may be retiring from one career and looking for other opportunities. You may be starting a side hustle. I started my real estate business as a side hustle, 1 property, then 2 properties, then 2 at a time, 3 at a time, and then multifamily, buying another multifamily, refinancing, and it just snowballs. But you got to get started, and you got to understand what skill set do you have right now, because all of us have skills. All of us have a God-given talent and ability that we bring every day to our W-2 job that we could easily translate into building something that we can hand off to ourselves. Because one of the things that I've learned is we can't give our W-2 job to our kids. You're not going to be able to hand that down. You're not going to be able to take that 20, 30 years building someone else's dream, that CEO, that founder, you're building their dream. You're not going to be able to hand that off to your loved ones. And so it behooves us to figure out what's the right mix. How do we build that off-ramp? How do we take this little device right here that we can build $1 million business with just this phone alone? And so looking at how we can change our lives and pivot ourselves and set ourselves up for long-term success. And then the last question, do you have the right financial team guiding you? If not, we need to have a conversation, because we have an all-star team. I'm aligning with an all-star team that has a lot of capability, a lot of services that we all so desperately need if we're serious about building wealth. And that's what this is all about. So the next steps, let's hop on a call, go through the discovery meeting, kind of see what you're thinking, get some feedback, determine the best services, suites based off your situation and on your goals. Get the data collected. That's the big part, going through and getting that data uploaded to the secure portal, and then following through on the steps in the client process that I showed a little bit earlier, and then execute the plan and monitor progress and going through that process. And it's pretty straightforward. It's really simple and going through. But the thing is that I just want to give you that sense of urgency, because time is short. Time is short. None of us know how much time that we have left here, and it behooves us to take it serious. And so I just want to end this with, I'm super excited about the opportunity partnering with Right Time Financial, that this is just another extension of what we've been building on with the REI Genius community, that mission and vision. And now we're just taking it to a whole nother level with these institutional deals and with the products and services that are out there that so many other people have been using to build wealth, that now we can bring it to the community, to you, to your households, to your friends' households, to your network. And so the thing is, I would ask you to share this with anybody that, and I'll send the recording out, but share it with your network, share it with your circle. Start having conversations about, hey, what are you guys doing with investing? And let us know, how can we serve you? Because the thing with Right Time, and really pull me into the vision, that we're here to serve you guys. And we're here to help your families build wealth. And if that's something that we can do, if there's a resources that we have, then please, by all means, use the QR code, the website right there, jump on my calendar. I got plenty of time starting tomorrow, now that I'm done with the Air Force. And so would love to have that conversation with you on how I can help you level up when it comes to your finances and your investments. So with that, any questions anyone has? I got some time here so we can hang out, talk. If not, you guys can log off. I'm extremely humble and appreciative of you guys coming out and being part of this journey. That this is just the beginning. It's this next chapter. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of freedom, a lot of flexibility, getting out in the community. And so I really want to partner with you all and your organizations and your communities and your friends and your groups, and letting us know how we can help you build wealth and get to that next level. With that, I'll open it up. Anybody have any questions, comments? Because I know we got some friends, we got some family in the room, and I definitely want to give you guys an opportunity to share a little bit. Okay, cool. Well, I just want to say thank you. I see everybody out here. I like my dad says from the pulpit, don't start naming names because you're gonna always forget somebody. So
Looks like Chris
I
has
won't
his
start
hand up.
naming
I'm not
names.
sure if he has a question.
Okay. Oh yeah. Chris, go ahead. You can come off mute.
So I don't have a question, but I will say this. I don't know Right Time Financial, but I've known Johnny, and I would tell you, and I can be biased, but I don't think I am. This is one of the most honest, authentic people that you'll ever see on the internet and offline. And when you think about the climate of our world, most people talk about they believe in God, and there's only a few people that actually live out what the word says. He's one of those people that live out what the word says. Don't take my word for it. Just watch him long enough, you'll see for yourself. And so anything that he does, I support him 100%. But I say watch him, and you'll see exactly probably the 67th book of the Bible through his lifestyle.
Oh, I appreciate those kind words, brother. No, I definitely appreciate that. And I think, all that is but God, that, it's, none of us are perfect, but the thing is just leaning on his grace and mercy every day, and living on purpose. For sure. Anybody else?
Yeah, if I may, I just want to echo my brother, same sentiment as Chris said. Johnny Lynum is the GOAT, like hands down. And I'm T.O. Clay. I'm the owner of T.O. Clay Light Bulb Lessons. I'm a leadership coach, retired United States Marine. I DM'd Johnny just out of the blue one day because I was so captured and enamored by his spirit. It wasn't about, salesy or anything of that nature. I reached out to him and I said, bro, I love your content. I love your authenticity. Will you please come on my podcast? And he's like, absolutely, brother. I'll be there. We got on, and just the amazing amount of information Johnny gave, I was able to push that out to many younger Marines that I know that's looking to get into the real estate space and things of that nature. And we had a lot in common. Johnny's a PK. I'm a PK. We started speaking about the Lord, man. It was just a blessing. So anything that Johnny's doing, I want to be a part of it, and just be that supporting arm. I love you, good brother. Congratulations on your retirement, man. It's been a blessing hearing this great info tonight. Thank you.
Love you too, brother. No, I definitely appreciate that, man. And it's up. It's all the way up.
Well, I would like to say I'm very proud of my blood cousin here. He has been so instrumental, and I say God has placed him in my heart and my mind, and thank goodness we follow each other in the social media to know what he's up to, because my mom passed a year and a half ago, and needless to say, Grovefield, Alabama, and my brother lives out the country, whatnot, but needless to say, someone had to take the reins, and old school functioned differently than this new school. Don't want to pass on finances, don't want to pass on all these documents. Found out, 20 acres documents weren't properly signed as I'm going through the motions in Groveville, Alabama, and how Alabama functions as, it's common for them to not have documents in order with proper names on these on the land properties. So anyway, long story short is touching or reaching out to Johnny and helping me and guiding me through this, because this isn't my gift. I'm in healthcare. So this is, I'm flailing. And I said, I'm like, wait, I think Johnny's into this stuff. Let me get him. So he gave me some documents, some information, some support, some encouragement to help guide my father through this step. So he's coming along willingly now. And thanks to Johnny, I secured me a property manager for 20 acres plus 12 properties plus, whatever. Anyways, reaching out, and he's been so, so helpful and just honest and providing me with the tools to go into these meetings looking like I know what I'm talking about. Because this last
Let's
property,
go.
and being a female at this point, people don't really think you know too much about it, or what, at least that's what I've been feeling at this point. But needless to say, he's made me sound like I know what I'm talking about, and given me documents to interview my property managers and whatnot. But they were just like, wait a minute, what do you say you do? I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is answer my question. Whatever. This is what I want to know. So anyways, but he's just been encouraging and very empowering. And so I'm learning so much through this, and I'm feeling like this is what God has said I'm going to do. Granted, I was so, like I said, ignorant into that, didn't want to ever get involved in my parents' property stuff endeavors. But now I'm forced to, because, I'm, well, whatever. Anyways, I'm head of or power attorneys and all that stuff. But to get it all cleared out and cleaned out, thank you, Johnny. And anybody have property in the South, get those documents and enforce those people to get it to up to date. Because trying to find people who are deceased and extra family members of family members of family members to sign off on all these documents where they had missed, and they've even, like I said, claimed that they had not have all the proper documents or proper signatures on documents that we've been paying taxes on, and all the signatures weren't even in line. So paying lawyers and things like that to get it straightened out. Again, kudos to Johnny, because you've given me the encouragement to keep on going, because if we don't do it as a people, this is how I see that land gets lost. And that, those heritage, those things that are supposed to be left for us as far as legacy and whatnot, get taken away. So thank you, kudos. And I'm just not being biased, but just being very helpful as being very ignorant in the game. And I'm learning. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you as well.
Well, all right.
Man,
well, anyone else? On behalf of Right Time Financial, congratulations, Johnny, for your welcoming launch. And you did a great job. We are proud of you, and you got a lot of representation. People are backing you, and we want to thank each and every one of you for participating and coming and supporting Johnny this evening.
Yep, no, 100%. I appreciate everybody coming out, and yeah, you guys know how to find me, and yeah, we're ready to go. Let's go. Oh, who's that?
Terror's outside.
I hear who it was. Oh well, yeah, I couldn't hear who that was, but yeah, yeah. Thank you guys. Have a blessed night, and yeah, reach out. Let's go.
Good night, everyone. Take care.